Welcome, beautiful people at home, to the Djellab YouTube channel and nothing but football. We've got a big one today. It's time. It's predictions, lads. I'm wishing you the best of luck. Shake my hand.
All the best.
Welcome,
all the best.
Ben. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, mate.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Henry Hill in his lovely little Fulham shirt. I have to say, nice little design.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Detail. Someone's got the player version over here.
Yes,
How's things?
Good. Your videos are doing exceptionally well at the moment, Zach. What I want to know is why these aren't hitting 100k. I don't understand.
What I want to know is why
all in good time. All in good time. All in good time. But first, before we talk about our predictions, I need to talk to you about today's sponsor, William Hill. And that's because, of course, the final one standing is here. It's football's ultimate last one standing game. Now, over the last few weeks, I've spoken to you about this. And, of course, there's a share of £500,000 up for grabs if you are one of the ones to make it to the very end. Now, if you've never heard of it, the game's very, very easy. Every single week, you pick one team from the game week who you think is going to win. If they win, brilliant, you're through to the next round. If they lose or draw, then unfortunately, you're out. On top of that, once you've picked one team, say for instance, I was to pick Manchester City this week for game week 1, you can't pick them again for further rounds. Now, there's no admin, there's no charges, it's free to play. And as I've already said, if you make it to the very end and get there, you'll have a chance to win up to £500,000. To enter, go down to the description and click that link or scan the QR code on screen right now and download the William Hill app. You guys have until 12:30 p.m. this Saturday coming, the game week 1, in order to enter. There's only a few days left. Literally, when this video goes live, you've got until the next day and 12:30. So if you're being bold or you want to play it safe, it doesn't matter. This is the perfect game to test your football knowledge. Now, of course, you've got to be over 18 years old and living in the United Kingdom or Ireland to play. And, of course, terms and conditions apply, with the full terms in the link down below in the description. And, of course, please gamble responsibly. Now, guys, predictions time. We had a little bit of a tester one earlier in the summer transfer window. We did a little bit of pre-season early transfer predictions. And then since then, we're going into the big one. This is what you're committing to. This is what, when we look back on at the end of the season and Henry's put Fulham in 5th place, we will all chuckle about.
Newsflash, not anymore.
Okay, let's kick things off with who's going to win it then. We might as well start there. Number 1 position. Henry, you have?
I originally said Liverpool. I have subsequently changed to Man City.
Wow.
Who have you got, Ben?
I've got Liverpool. He's got Chelsea.
I've also gone for Manchester City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tell you what, one Community Shield, little bit of a shaky performance is, I don't know.
I'm just worried about that defence.
Yeah.
I am slightly worried about that defence. Look, I think when you make your predictions, you've also got to kind of adjust for what if an injury happens, like almost like worst case scenario at times. And for me, Van Dijk has proven before, like he can sustain a bad injury. When he's fit, he's obviously one of the best defenders in the league, in the world. He's exceptional. He always looks amazing. But that Liverpool defence did look a little bit shaky against Palace. Yeah. And, okay, they have, to be fair, looks like at the time of recording, we've got to mention that, looks like they might be going to get Mark Gay. Feels like that deal's going to happen. And that does that will be a good sign. But I just worry slightly that with obviously playing now 2 very attacking kind of fullbacks, leaving them a little bit exposed on those wings, whether they'll be able to quite do the business this year. I don't know. Where do you feel about Liverpool then this season, Henry?
I think what Slot said before the Community Shield was quite poignant in that it's very rare for a big team to have 4 major changes to their starting lineup. And I do think that will count for something. To replace both your fullbacks, and then obviously the front line is completely different to what it is last year. Obviously midfield is fairly similar, almost player for player, but I do think that's a lot of change, and it feels as if they're going to be playing a different style of football, perhaps to what they were playing last year. So perhaps a change too far for this Liverpool team. Don't get me wrong, I still think I wouldn't be shocked if they won the league. Maybe in another year's time, go again. But Salah's not getting any younger, neither's Van Dijk. As you said, apparently they're going for Gehi, but then Gehi, maybe he wants more guaranteed minutes ahead of a World Cup year, so it's tricky. They've got this 18-year-old from, Parma or something like that?
Yeah, Leone.
Looks,
fine.
But it's not the drop-off from Van Dijk if he got injured.
A lot of Liverpool fans go, no, what are you on about? We can just play. Gravenberch can play centre-back. Endo can play centre-back. I'm like, yeah, all right, they can play there, but that's not their specialist position. And I don't think we're in a position now for Liverpool to be experimenting with CDMs filling in at centre-half.
Especially when they looked significantly worse on Sunday without Gravenberch in the midfield.
It was quite easy in the second half for Palace to get through to them. It wasn't... I know this is the Community Shield and things do ramp up significantly.
Massively. Essentially, it's a pre-season game, isn't it?
It was painfully easy for Will Hughes or for Wharton to win the ball back and progress it up to the wingers, and who were then one-on-one looked quite comfortable taking on the Liverpool defenders. So, look, it is maybe slightly panic stations, and I know City have lost De Bruyne. However, I just think there's... Haaland's going to be back, Marmoush for a whole season. Amazing defence, in my opinion. Yeah, I struggle to look past City just for the pure bullishness. If they go and get Donnarumma, which is an interesting one, not one that I kind of agree with Julian Laurent. I'm quite surprised, and I feel very sorry for James Trafford reading all of these. But if they got him, like, bloody hell. So, yeah, for me, I think City all of a sudden are in the ascendancy once more.
I'm a little bit worried. Not worried. Sorry, I was going to say actually the opposite of that. I don't know why that was the word that came to my mouth. Also my brain. I also feel like City aren't going to be as bad as they were last season. Right? They are obviously going to be much better, and they still finish second.
And we're the best team probably in the league.
From 2025. Yeah, exactly. And so when I think of all these things, I think, okay, they've added Ryan Cherky, they've added Tiana Reinders, who looks like he could have a fantastic season for them. Rodri, I know he's not back just yet, but he will eventually be back post-September, hopefully. They're going to have to kind of be careful, I think, with that injury, especially for him having been out for so long now. Gvardiol coming into a proper centre-back position, I completely agree. Erling Haaland, we mentioned it when we were doing our predictions for the team of the season, at the end of the season. The guy, people were saying, had a down year and still scored 22 Premier League goals. Like, that's abnormal. And you can just see him doing even better this year with that. And so I think all these things come into it. And I just think there's a couple of question marks around Liverpool now that I would... And I feel like if you said either of them, Liverpool, Man City, and it came to the end of the season, and the other had won that you had suggested, you wouldn't feel too disappointed.
Also, just on Liverpool, like Ekitike, obviously very exciting. This is someone who went to PSG from Reims, struggled, went to Eintracht, which I think is a pretty safe club. He's now going back into the big leagues again, and he did miss a few chances at the weekend as well. And the idea that even if they got Isaac's not really had a proper pre-season because of everything that's happened as well. It's a lot to ask for him to hit the ground running. And given how tight it is going to be at the top, I don't think you can have 4 or 5 weeks just to sort of figure it out.
I also don't think they're going to get Isaac. That's the thing for me as well. I don't think that's going to happen. Assume quickly, Henry, you've got Liverpool in second. Mm-hmm. Okay, second. I've got them in second.
I've got Man City
second. You've got Man City second.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the defining reason why you've gone Liverpool over?
I do think it's going to be a City pool title race, and I had up until 3 or 4 weeks ago or so, I had tinkered between those two. It was like I changed my mind quite a bit. I do think there's question marks over both teams. Obviously, I think a lot of the stuff you said about Liverpool is totally fair. They did look vulnerable against Crystal Palace at points at the weekend. They also looked exceptional against Crystal Palace at points in that game at the weekend as well. I do think there is a balance to be struck in terms of attack and defence, and I do feel like Arne Slot is the sort of manager that if he sees issues continually start to arise, or like you said, you can't afford to have like a bad 3 or 4 weeks, I do feel like Arne Slot will correct those things, and I feel like he has got players in the squad to maybe revert them back to the sort of system we saw them play a little bit last year. Like Bradley can come in certain games for Frimpong. I don't think it's going to be Frimpong and Kirkes bombing up and playing as wingers every single week. And also they didn't have Gravenberch in that game. I think Gravenberch is massive in terms of sweeping up behind that front line and protecting that defence. And without him, even though Jones was excellent on the ball in that game, he doesn't offer you anywhere near as much off the ball. So obviously Szoboszlai partnered Jones, I think, in midfield on Sunday as well, and I think you get the energy from him. McAllister didn't play either; he came on in the second half. So again, not fully. It wasn't Liverpool's best team on Sunday, and I feel like because of how easy it was for Palace at times, people are still ignoring how amazing Liverpool were to go in front in that game and how electric they looked. Florian Wirtz has come in and arguably has become a top 5 Premier League player already. The link-up play that he had with Ekitike in that game, I think it's fair to say that Ekitike might have moments where he does struggle, and he has maybe struggled at previous clubs before, but the level of quality that he's playing, the players that he's playing with around now and linking up with him and Wirtz look to have such a brilliant relationship already. Like, we say this and it could be the year that Van Dijk and Salah, everybody goes, well, they are aging, they're not getting any younger, all that kind of stuff, but we've done that dance so many times, and I think you've seen little bits with Salah in pre-season where Slot might be using him in a slightly different role, etc. But the quality is still there. The defence is a big issue. Like, it is. There's no denying that, obviously. I think if they were to get an injury to Van Dijk, then they're in trouble. We still really don't know what's going to happen with Rodri, how good that City title success, I do think hinges on that as much as Liverpool's hinges on keeping Van Dijk fit. There's a lot of variables with both teams, and I think it is. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything in it. I think Liverpool, just with the momentum of last season, just with the quality that they have added, and I think there's going to be a lot of almost like scrutiny around it. Can they go again? I do feel like they might end up moving away from Isak and using those funds to bolster the squad and give them the depth in the areas that they haven't got right now, mainly in defence. But again, we're doing this before the transfer window shuts, so we don't know. But if they do add Isak, despite the fact that of him not having a pre-season, it's still Alexander Isak, and you'd still imagine him hitting the ground running. So I just think Liverpool, it's just a gut thing. I think I've just got them above City just for that. But I think they would be my 2 contenders, really. Proper contenders.
I actually think it might be quite tight, this top 4. Like, as in it could...
Oh, yeah.
No. As in my point being that I think it's going to be... I think whoever goes 5th is going to be a big gap between the 4th.
I think the traditional top 4 will...
Yeah,
I think right.
I think all of them... I think we've got to talk about Arsenal here. I've got them in 3rd. You've got them in...
3rd.
You've got them in... 4th.
Yes, Henry.
Who's 3rd?
Chelsea.
I
I
didn't want to say it because I was scared you guys would hate me.
I just think Chelsea. I think Chelsea. They've had a great Club World Cup. They've had a pretty solid pre-season. I think João Pedro could be an unbelievable signing. Him and Djellab.
We'll get onto my
great.
best signs later.
I've just got a feeling about Chelsea this year. I think they're riding high momentum.
Yeah.
I genuinely think they're like right in there for the Champions League as well, just because they're just in that kind of team, really.
I kind of feel better about them for the Champions League than the league.
I agree with you.
They're a good tournament team. We're a good. We've always been a good tournament
I've asked
team.
a few Arsenal fans, and a lot of Arsenal fans also agree there's a strong chance they could come 4th or 5th this year.
But this is where I think
there is a bit of anxiety around Arsenal, I think.
Yeah, because there's so much pressure because this is meant to be the year that it happens. Gyökeres, great header against Athletic Club, fine. But I'm a bit annoyed with everyone being like, pre-season they've done amazing. And this, I'm like, João Pedro 5 and 5 goals. He's off the mark. It's like it doesn't count until the official games actually start. That is when they officially start.
Mate, it works either way. I've seen teams have bad pre-seasons and end up being really good.
Yeah.
I've seen teams have really good pre-seasons and be really bad. I've seen teams have good pre-seasons and be even better.
So
I think you can. It's mainly a fitness thing and also like a tactical thing. I think
100%.
sometimes in pre-season.
100%. There's things
It's
to
fun
learn
to
in
see.
terms of how your team's going to play, how you're going to set up, what little differences you're going to see. But in terms of the results,
I think for me, I put Arsenal 3rd. And I don't know if you would agree with this, Ben. Mainly just for if we're talking, this Chelsea team's still really young.
Yeah.
It's still one of maybe, if not the youngest team in the Premier League. It feels at times it's only getting younger. All the additions that joined just seem to be 21 or 22. Obviously, if Esteval is joining this side, he's now 18 as well. We might touch on him later. And if, again, I was thinking about what, if we get to the end of the season, where would I feel like I might be a bit more disappointed? I think, I won't lie, putting Chelsea 4th is a safe answer. It's definitely the safe answer. I think it's something you can kind of be like, well, Arsenal obviously have been up and around there for the last 3 or 4 seasons now. They've been pushing for that kind of title charge. And so, of course, it's easier to maybe suggest them to go 3rd. And that is kind of, to a degree, what I've done. Mainly because it doesn't... my one worry for Chelsea is I don't know if it will take much for it to possibly go wrong slightly. That's where it's like...
I agree.
We've never had to deal with it yet. And again, touch as much wood as I possibly can. Palmer's never been injured for Chelsea since he's played at Chelsea. If that was to ever happen, I worry. If a Caicedo got injured, I worry. That's where it takes one keeper. And again, be said for all of these teams. But I then look at the scenarios there and I think maybe that could be a little bit worrying for Chelsea and how it goes. I also think I'm still not 100% convinced the defence is quite at the level to be a title-winning side.
Yeah.
If that's where, like, this is why I know some Chelsea fans aren't a massive fan of it, but that's where, like, if Chelsea hadn't got Mark Gahey, I would feel so much more confident about our defence.
I can't believe you're not doing.
There's a lot of Chelsea fans out there who really don't want him, and they don't see it, and I find that baffling to me. But if everything does go right, I can see a world where Chelsea do have a chance at possibly competing. This is we got to talk about this. It was a Chelsea side last season for the first 4 months were really, really impressive and looked like they were at the races and everything was flowing really nicely. And when Chelsea can do that, and hopefully Chelsea can do that for as long as possible, they'll be able to go really, really far. And what I was saying earlier about fourth to first, I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in it. So I think they could kind of all change quite easily. But I think like the person who's fifth, there will be a big gap between them.
Like earlier when I said like I think it's going to be a City-Liverpool title race, I do think Arsenal and Chelsea are going to play a big part in that. But I think it might just get to like maybe April and it's like, okay, those two are starting to peel away.
Okay.
But I think you're right. I do think I think they're going to play a significant part, both of them. I kind of was the same as you in terms of Arsenal third is the safe pick because they've been in and around it for so long, and I don't see them dropping down that far. I know it's only a couple of places to fourth, and Chelsea can really push them. I think Chelsea-Arsenal games this year are going to be fascinating because I think there's a little bit
we've not beaten them in ages.
There's a little something developing between the two there, and I think as well Chelsea are going to want to take that step. Like Chelsea are going to want to the goal for Chelsea this season will be to win the league. I think it will be, but I think there's in terms of leapfrogging Arsenal maybe to keep getting closer because I think Chelsea fans are really starting to have this unwavering belief in what you're doing. I think as long as you see yourselves going in the right direction, I think there's every chance Chelsea could finish third over Arsenal. I think Arsenal have just got they haven't obviously got over the line, but they have got that experience of managing the Premier League and the Champions League, and obviously they have had injuries, but they've still coped with them enough to be in and around that conversation. So I think that's why I've got them there. Chelsea, like you said, Palmer. I mean, I think Palmer is going to have a massive season. But Palmer last season was protected quite significantly by not playing any minutes in the Conference League up until March.
Yeah,
essentially, wasn't included in the squad for the.
Got to play Champions League football now.
Exactly, and he's going to want to shine on that stage. Yeah. So you've got to. But then again, if you bring in Simmons, it's incredible depth and incredible rotation option for Palmer. I don't think also like Chelsea finishing fourth. Like I know in terms of league position, it's not progress necessarily on last season. But I do think Chelsea will look at it by the end of the season will be a better team, and I think they could pick up a couple of bits of silverware elsewhere maybe.
I think the other thing we've got to remember as well, especially for Chelsea and especially Chelsea is how far they went, Club World Cup factor. They've had some of them had 2 weeks off. And then they're going into a season where there's a World Cup at the end of it as well. And so they might not finish their season or get their holiday now until basically middle of July next year, which is a long time to be playing football and to possibly be near the red zone. But again, let us know all of your predictions as well. Put your whole table, please, in the comments below. I want to be seeing them all. How similar, how different are they? Please get them down there. I would want to see 1 to 20. Henry Hill, 5th place.
Ben, this one's for you. Spurs.
Come on, Spurs. Yes.
They're back, baby.
I've gone Villa.
Yeah, you know what? I think I've got Villa.
Show the camera, by the way, what he's done at his table.
That is class.
There you go. You can now get it out. You can leave it on the table if you want now, Henry.
No,
leave it on the table.
I have Villa in 6th. I have Villa in 6th. Okay.
Yeah, I have actually Spurs a little bit lower. I have Spurs in 7th. I will say, I did this yesterday. I did this pre-Spurs playing against PSG. For the first 60, 70 minutes, I thought Spurs actually were quite impressive. I did try and think as well, like, obviously this is essentially PSG's first game. Like PSG haven't really had a pre-season as well.
Yeah, but they're still miles better than us.
They are, like quality-wise for sure. In terms of Aston Villa haven't really lost anyone too crucial. They've managed to keep Watkins. They've managed to keep Rodgers. Martinez looks like he's going to be staying now. The defence still seems pretty secure. I think another season of Ian Maatson developing at left back is like a really good thing. Yeah. They got Kamara down to a new contract. That's fantastic. Looks like they're going to keep McGinn, who people might laugh at, but I actually think is a very, very good player for Aston Villa.
Also, he loves the club.
Loves the club, indeed. Like, if they are able to do a little bit of business, like manage to get in like a right winger or something.
Apparently they're looking at bringing Asensio back.
Absolutely, I wouldn't mind that. I actually wouldn't mind that at all. If they're able to get one or two more players before the window, I'd feel even more strongly about this, because they do have a fantastic manager, one of the league's best managers, in someone like Unai Emery. And whilst at times last season they were a little bit up and down, they're going to be competing in the Europa League, a competition that Unai absolutely adores. I think they can go quite far in that as well, but also manage to kind of allow certain players to be rested in certain fixtures in the Europa League, which I think is a good thing as well, depending on who they obviously come up against. But they should be playing a few teams, you'd assume, where they can rest a few players, which will be needed. And I just think sometimes, when we do these predictions, we get a little bit caught up, and I think everyone does, a little bit caught up with the transfers and who brings in all the players, who brings in some of the nice ones, who spent the most money. And normally it's actually the teams who don't do lots of business and manage to keep a lot of the structure and the same core of players in their team that end up doing pretty well the season after.
Gisson guy they bought from Nice could be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So got a few goals last year. I think it's a pretty good price
tag.
But
the core is still there. Like especially at one point in the transfer window, it looked like they were going to be losing Rodgers, Watkins, and Martinez. Those guys are really crucial to them. So I felt that's my reasoning for Villa. I'll maybe touch upon Spurs after you guys have spoke about them, because go on, Ben, talk about your lily whites.
I do feel really good about Tottenham this year. I genuinely do. Obviously, if we can get a couple more signings across the line as well to strengthen that attack. Savinho has been heavily linked. Eze, it sounds like Spurs have made their opening offer. Whether that gets accepted or not, I mean, they don't tend to, but he could potentially, with Arsenal maybe needing to sell, there's a window of opportunity for Spurs to bring in a player that we massively need now in terms of that number 10 position because of Maddison's injury. Eze is a player that's ready to slot in straight away, one of the best number 10s in the league, making that step up to Champions League football. I think he can do that, significantly improves on the attack that we've already got now. But on the flip side of that, obviously you did see Thomas Frank yesterday in the Super Cup play. He didn't have an option to play in the number 10, to be honest. He played Sarr as that most advanced midfielder. But I think what you did see with that and him playing there is why I think Tottenham will be a lot harder to beat, because we've got energy in that midfield with Sarr. You've got a manager there that will make very specific, detailed game plans depending on the opposition, adapting to the strengths and the weaknesses of the players that they've got and the players that we've got. How can we go here and get a result? But I also think that if you are able to add Eze and Savinho potentially to Mohamed Kudus in that front line, it solves a lot of the issues that I think we would have had against teams that are going to sit in against us. The one thing I do worry about in that front line with Spurs is the actual output. Obviously, we've lost a lot of goals and assists with Maddison out for the season, and Son, even in his last and worst year at Spurs, even though his best year in the end, obviously, but in terms of like numbers, 11 goals, 11 assists, still gave us something, even if he didn't have a significant impact necessarily in his performances. Kulusevski out for like probably another 5 months, maybe. There was 61 goal contributions between those three players that Spurs have got to replace. Now, bringing in someone like a Savinho, who had the most amount of assists for Man City across all competitions last season, Eze's goal contribution numbers are only kind of trending in the right direction year on year on year. His impact in big games, I think he's ready to make the step up to that stage. We saw that in the FA Cup run towards the back end of the season. It's a massive upgrade for Spurs, and that is a really exciting potential front three, but behind the striker. And I think Thomas Frank's pragmatism, his adaptability, his ability to get the most out of his players, make us greater than the sum of our parts, a bit like Poch did at Spurs, make us hard to beat. Tactically, I think we're going to be on another level compared to what we saw last season, which albeit isn't a huge step up. Like, obviously, like, you don't have to do much to bridge that gap and improve us from where we were last year. But I do think, like, what's made me more confident is actually Spurs managing the Premier League and the Champions League together with those kind of different game plans. Like,
see, I slightly worry about
the
that.
Opposition. We need the squad to be able to do it. We need a bigger squad. The massive lesson from Spurs last night is that it should be a wake-up call to the board that... Not a wake-up call that we're massively behind these teams. And obviously Spurs are nowhere near as good as PSG. That's not what I'm saying. But actually, it's a wake-up call to say, get your arse in gear, because we're close. We're quite close. A lot closer to these top teams that people think. we are, and if we can get a couple of these signings across the line that really move the needle that we are so desperate for, then I really think we can have a good season and get into those Champions League places. I think, a lot of it for me is on Frank. I think he's going to be huge for Tottenham.
Well, he's your biggest transfer, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
This summer, he's the biggest thing that Spurs have done. And I do agree. I mean, I've been very complimentary of Thomas Frank for a long time. I think the fact that he can do several different ways of playing football is fantastic. I think he speaks really, really well in the media. Even yesterday, I think he said something after the game where it was like, the surgery was like successful, but
the patient died.
But the patient died.
Yeah, so not that great in the end. It was like he's right though, isn't he? It's just like,
but he's got a way of words. I think are really, really good.
I also think one massive thing, and we saw that last night with Spurs. Both goals came from set pieces.
Yes, you looked much better.
Lots of long throws and stuff. That focus on the marginal gains just to get you those points across the season, I think could potentially be enough for us, because if we do bring in these signings, there is quality there to create chances, etc. But also there might be. I don't see like Solanke scoring loads of goals. I don't see like if Eze was to come in, I don't see him scoring loads of goals. And I keep saying Eze, like even if it's not him, I think Spurs will strengthen that area because they have to and have shown their hand that the money's there. Like I said, I do worry in terms of maybe the individual output of those players, but I do think with the set pieces and the improvement, I do think it will be shared around quite a lot in terms of the goals for Spurs. I do see that. So it will be harder to beat, I think.
So I've got Spurs in 7th. Is where I've actually got them. I think my biggest worry is the depth. That's where it is, and we have seen over the last season, like Spurs can end up having quite a big.
What do you think in terms of in terms of specific areas of the squad?
I think your centre back drop off isn't amazing. Like if you end up playing a back, one of your defenders being a Danso, who I think he's fine, but he's not a top 4 defender or a Dragerson. I don't like that.
I do think again though this kind of different style under Frank actually suits those defenders a little bit more.
It definitely does compared to what it was under Ange.
Yeah.
I think 100%. However, it's not Van der Ven or Romero who are absolutely quality.
Of course,
fullbacks is sometimes an issue, like for injuries for you guys. Like you have
a doggy's out.
Doggy out, exactly.
Yep.
If Basuma is leaving, which it feels like he is going to be after the comments about him leaving.
I think Spurs are trying to get rid of him.
Trying to get rid of him.
We've got a lot of central midfield depth.
For the DM's a bit of a weird one.
Repeatedly, it blows my mind.
Yes, bonkers.
I sort of just think, just pay someone. Just pay someone who's
to
job
wake
it
you
is
up.
just go wake up.
Yeah.
But then that's an issue for me. Like again, Richarlison last night looked amazing. He looked ridiculous. Can you really go into a season thinking like Richarlison? But can you go into the season thinking he's going to be the guy who will, like, if Solanke's not working, we can trust him to be fit? He's shown 2 years that that's not what he does.
That's the biggest problem.
That's my worry. Where, like, again, if we're going based on what we've previously seen, and you're right to suggest that Thomas Frank should hopefully ease that a little bit more, I can maybe see a bit of a drop off. That's where
but also
things are.
17th to 7th, like
hell of a rise.
Shake your hand on that now.
Can we not talk about Spurs anymore?
Okay.
For way too long.
Okay. Who's your 6th choice?
Right. Well, I've got Villa for the reasons.
In 6th.
Villa in 6th, more or less.
Same rise.
Yeah. I just.
Yep.
Unai Emery, he's an amazing manager.
Okay. I've got Brighton in 6th.
I've got Brighton in 6th, and I've got Villa. I've got Villa in 7th. Yeah. So again, I think the caveat
it's around there.
I have Brighton in 7th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. But I think we all agree Brighton have a pretty good year.
Yeah.
Right. It feels like.
I will say on Brighton. Again, like, I had a look at their pre-season matches. They've done very well pre-season.
Hand there was brilliant.
I will say. Obviously it's pre-season, so they're like changing their lineup every week. But I still look at their squad and I think there's no guarantee that all of these guys are going to be good. Just because you bought them and spent money on them. Like we saw with Ferguson, how quickly some of these Brighton... And Enciso had to go on loan. Buonanotte had a great loan, but does he actually really get minutes? I still think Herzler has a real... I think you needed to find best 11. And I think with Brighton sometimes...
You don't think they've got that?
I think it just takes time to appear. Like they could literally play different teams every single week. They've got so many players. It's absurd. So I just worry that almost... I struggle sometimes to see the team. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
But do you not see? Is it not like Matoma on the left? Rutter is probably going to be the striker if he's fit. Otherwise, it's Welbeck. Right is Minter.
They got two.
Yeah,
like, Greek
you're not wrong actually. Yeah,
the point is, they almost just feel like a kind of thief. Sometimes I feel like they're an all-star team that have just been put together last. Well, look, this could be. like I said, this is just like a hunch. I feel like I get every other team, but I struggle to get Brighton sometimes. Like, I know what Frank's going to do for Spurs. I know how Enzo manages Chelsea, and so on. With Brighton, because there's just so much talent and so many new players coming, a few players leaving. I sometimes wonder, like, is it going to be like last season where we wait a while to finally see? Because they were like good in some games, they were unbelievable in some games, and then they would just lose against teams they really shouldn't have.
Who they get smashed by? Forest.
Forest 7-0.
So the point is with Brighton, that is a question mark for me. However,
the upside is pretty good.
The upside's pretty good. So I've got them in. What did I say for Brighton?
You said you had them 7th.
Oh no, I don't.
You got them 6th.
I don't. I've got them in 8th. I've got Newcastle in 7th.
Okay.
For these reasons. Yeah. I knew I had something to say on this. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, everyone. I have Newcastle in 7th. I have Brighton in 8th.
Okay.
That's what I've done.
And 6th was Villa.
Villa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had Brighton in 6th. You got Brighton in 6th.
I've got Brighton 6th,
I think
Villa 7th.
I think for the positive reasons you've mentioned there, Henry, which there weren't too many of. But Brighton, they are a team that develops. They've got obviously such a young manager who last year showed he can be great seaside town.
Great training ground.
Great training ground. But they do have a lot of good in that side. Like when Matoma's on it, he is absolutely. I mean, there's not much you can do sometimes to stop him.
Yeah, they've got a £100 million midfielder.
Minter Baleba is just a ridiculous freak in midfield sometimes. He carries that ball so well. Minter had a really good first season in the Premier League for Brighton on the right flank. Ruta, I think, was a really good acquisition.
Ruta, I think, will be...
Well, obviously, because they don't have João Pedro now, who at times actually was injured for a large majority of the season last year for Brighton. I think Ruta can come into that, and obviously assumed the two Greek lads, especially the one who...
Is it Kostelas?
Kostelas and Simas.
Simas obviously had a great year. They brought him in the January, obviously sent him back on loan. They could come in and pitch in a little bit. So I do think they'll end up having a good season. I think the other thing as well, they're not dealing with Europe.
No.
And that's a key thing. It's just domestic football. They only have to play one game a week, essentially. I think that can help them out really, really well.
I mean, look, there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many teams? Is that 8 or 9 European teams in Europe? Yeah,
exactly.
So I think that will be a bit of an advantage.
Definitely.
I think also, like you said on Ruta there, I think he's someone to invest your stocks in for this season. I think there's always someone that... I mean, he's good anyway. It's not like it's not a massive shock to say that. But I do feel like, obviously, when a superstar and someone like Pedro leaves Brighton, or someone who you perceive to be the talisman, there is always someone that then fills that void. Maybe someone that's already there, that's shown the glimpses and then just rises into that role. And the only thing that derailed that really last season for Ruta was that big injury in the second half of the season. Really excited about Gruda as well. There's so much young talent there. Herzler has kind of shifted towards more of a back three in the pre-season, which I think actually nicely suits the profiles of the players that bought in and the players they've already got. I just feel good about them. It could, again, it's one of those ones where it could get a bit sticky, but maybe I think they will take advantage.
If they lost Baleba before the window, if he actually does go to United,
I can't see
that would be. I agree. I don't see it happening. But that would be quite an issue.
Sure.
Can I just say, I've got Newcastle ahead of them?
Yeah.
Quickly, because I know everyone is enjoying banter era Newcastle this transfer window, but I mean, there's a reason. It's because they were so good last year, and I know. Obviously, Isaac was a huge part of that, and it's looking highly unlikely he's going to continue to be part of that. But there is a system in place that helps get him there, getting the best out of people like Jacob Murphy. I think Gordon is going to have an exceptional campaign. I think we spoke about this previously. Malik Thior joining in centre-back, fine, good. I think that's another great option. Given the style of defence that they normally have, I think he fits the bill. If you look at sort of Dan Burn and Fabian Schär doing so well in there, I think Thior's going to be a great signing there. Pope or Ramsdale, it's not a nightmare scenario. Ramsdale was actually very good for Southampton in moments last year.
Yeah.
Which is difficult to say because they were just so bad. If they didn't have Ramsdale, they would have been the worst team of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think this is. I wouldn't be surprised. Newcastle are going to pull something out of the hat.
I think Isak stays. I don't think Liverpool get him. I think when they was like, I'm never going to play again for you guys. It's like, you're not. You're going to get the transfer window ends, and then you're going to go, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I need to play football,
guys.
I'm really sorry. Is it okay? And they go,
Sweden,
yes.
I don't know. They must be on course for the World Cup next year.
Well, he'd also get picked whatever happens. Like people, he's got to play football. He'll get picked between whatever happens. But the bigger thing is how many times have we always seen it? Suarez. Do you remember when Suarez wanted to leave Liverpool and he didn't, and then he played for Liverpool? Who is another striker that
Berbatov did it at Spurs down.
There's plenty throughout the years where like they've said, "Oh, I'm not going to play for you guys ever again," and they don't leave, and they do play. Like I can see that happening quite easily.
Yeah.
I also think that it will just get to like a couple of weeks before. I think getting near to the end of the window, and I think Liverpool will just pull the trigger. I think they're better because I kind of look at Newcastle. And I almost see them as I kind of think they're spending the money now.
Are they? They've not had the thing. If they have actually, I think that is part of it. If they've managed to got a Šeško or whatever, then yes.
But also,
it's not happened yet.
But they were prepared to lay the money down, weren't they? It was like,
but it's getting closer and closer. Like,
but they've also bought Jacob
Windows
Ramsey.
But the window's only got what 2 weeks left, really, 2 and a bit weeks left.
But I also think they're having this. I feel like their stance of he's not for sale and all this kind of stuff is trying to protect their negotiation position in these kind of deals, because otherwise people will see them coming with the Isak money.
No, for
like,
sure. But until they get that striker in, I don't think they will. Like, if that's the key thing. And I've got them in 8th. Ben's got them in.
I've got them in
8th as well.
I for the reasons that we spoke about
in next week's video. However, we'll go into a bit more detail.
Yeah, it was. I do worry about. Well, one, they didn't handle Premier League and Champions League football that well last time around.
They're an injury midfield away from it being rough.
Yes, and also I do still worry about Eddie Howe's game plan. And this is not me discounting anything that he's done at Newcastle because it has been brilliant. But I just worry in this phase of where they are, is that one-dimensional, transitional, break the game up, hit them on the counter-attack football going to...
I think that's incredibly harsh.
No, I think it is harsh, but also the recruitment for me, I feel like could have been a little bit more... I don't know.
Give yourself a plan B.
Head and shoulders the best English manager out
But
there.
I'm not saying no. That doesn't mean I'm not saying he's not. I just think that
I don't think like Hertzler. What's so unique about his? Like,
I'm not saying Hertzler's not a better manager than Eddie.
I do get what Ben's saying because essentially it's not like teams are starting to figure out if we just sit back, like they can't break on us as often as they do, and that is like what they are trying. That is what Newcastle was so good at. It's being so transitional.
Who's that player to pick the lock if teams are constantly like?
I do understand the like.
I think Bruno is becoming that more and more towards the end of last season.
Maybe Tonali as well. Like I do, yeah, but I feel like they're like
these are great players.
They are, and I did when we were talking about it earlier for next week's episode. I did kind of caveat what I was saying by saying there is a lot of quality there. Like that midfield is brilliant. It really, really is. And I don't think they're going to have I don't think they're going to massively struggle with Champions League football. I just think that maybe some of the other teams have slightly better problem solvers in their squad.
The thing about this Champions League, the way it is now, compared to when Newcastle won it last time, look at PSG. You can actually afford to have a pretty naff group stage and get through.
But it is still minutes and legs, though, isn't it? Like that's
and 2 extra games.
That's one of the slight concerns. But look, I think that I do think 8th to 5th is tight. That can be really
absolutely.
tight.
Yeah.
That could kind of be anywhere. 9th, I've got Manchester United.
I have Manchester United.
I have Manchester United.
Yeah, I think they're going to improve this year. I think the signings they've made have actually been good. If they get Belabor, that will actually probably push them up even further. Šeško, I think will probably do like okay. Burnley will probably do pretty well. Cunha will do pretty well. And one of their biggest issues last season was going forward and scoring goals. And I think they've done to the best of their degree, to be honest, like to fix that problem. Essentially with the whole new starting 3 up top. I do still have worries over midfield. Yeah. I think that's a concern. If they end up getting Donnarumma as well, because he's obviously being linked there along with Man City, that would be a really, really good signing for there in the goalkeeping position. But there's lots of if buts maybes. There's lots of if buts maybes. And I don't think 9th would be a terrible finish with the context of how good the other teams might be. And they could have a surprise. With no European football, they've got more time to train. They're playing less fixtures. There could be a little surprise there where they end up going a little bit further. But that being said, they have spent a lot of money where they probably should be doing that.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Cool. 10th, Henry.
Oh, this is where it gets a bit funky. I've got Everton in 10th.
I've got Everton in 10th.
I've got Everton in 10th.
Come on.
Yeah.
We all like David Moyes, don't we? And they are starting to do some good business.
Yeah, great recruitment.
Mate, I reckon if they're on for one of the best windows, full stop.
Ever?
Like, not end. Well, maybe for Everton, given how given how absolutely mental some of their many windows have been. God bless Mashiri. What a time.
Does feel
I
like
don't know if Everton fans agree with that.
it does feel like they're kind of out of that fog now, doesn't it? It's kind of like the new era, new stadium, signings that are going to get you off your. If you see,
They
obviously
still need a
remain-
few more. They still need a few
Yeah,
more.
they-
Like, squad
Cent-
numbers wise.
Central
They need
midfield, they need some. They need.
I
Some
think there's also
players.
a bit of a worry over Branthwaite. I think he's picked up a hamstring injury. I think they are a little bit light at
Everton
centre-half.
without Branthwaite is not good.
Well, they got Tarkovsky, Keane, and
O'Brien?
and O'Brien. That's
Yeah,
that's
but
pretty.
O'Brien kind of plays more as a fullback.
And also, we
doesn't
can't
he?
be
But he
we
can
can't
play
be putting
centre-back.
Keane
He
in this
can.
side anymore.
We're not.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Well, I don't
Everton
know
are a much worse side with Keane than centre back.
Okay.
But I do agree. I think the Jack Grealish coming in like a front line.
I don't have a huge opinion.
A front four though, a front
I'm gonna
four
fight you.
of Barry up top, Ndiaye on the left, Jack Grealish at the 10, and Kieran Dewsbury Hall on the right. And keep in mind, McNeil's also like one of
Yeah,
their best
McNeil's a
players
very
last
good player.
season. He could be in there too.
Yeah,
It's
they've
a
got a good team.
really strong front four.
James Garner's been
James
good in pre-season
Garner,
as well. Gay was
Gay
most
at the
talented
DM, like
interceptions in the
that's a
Prem last
really
year.
decent.
Gay
little,
just keeps going, doesn't he?
He does.
So,
Yeah. Every year it's like another contract. It's every year.
Just quickly, Calvert-Lewin going to Leeds. To look of it, I reckon what's happened there is he's thought if I'm a free agent, someone's coming in for me big time, and he's waited.
Everyone's like Man
He's waited. He's like, anyone?
Please. Yeah, I
So
mean,
they're like, well, Leeds are interested. Oh,
Leeds might get a little bit brutalised later on.
I hope
that's
it
for
works
sure.
out for him, to be honest. But I don't know.
Okay, but Everton 10th. We're all in agreement. We're hoping for a big year for Everton. Crazy to say this, considering how well they did last year, but 11th is my Bournemouth. No.
11th is my Bournemouth.
Yeah, I was going to say the structure of that sentence isn't quite good.
Nah,
I've
I've
got Bournemouth.
got Palace in 11th actually.
Okay. Palace is a little bit lower for me.
Got to be honest, I think this section
It
could
could change.
is much of a
Yeah.
muchness. I'll be honest.
Yes. Go on, Henry. Is this with the idea that Palace still have Eze and Mark Gehi?
Well, I think I can foreseeably see Gehi signing another contract with a release clause. I think Palace could probably. I hate this saying this kind of thing because it can never happen. If he wants to stay for minutes, he could probably go, look, I'll sign a new deal with a release clause next
Guarantee
summer,
that.
like £35 million release clause, guaranteed,
There are rumours he's
money
willing
for
to
you.
stay, yeah.
I think Eze is more likely, not just saying it from a hopeful perspective, but I think Eze at this point is more likely to leave than
Yeah,
Gehi.
well, all right, well, let's see. Well, the point is, I think Glasner is exceptional. I think, and I was at the Community Shield. I watched the game live, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought Palace. Don't forget they've got Wharton.
Yeah,
Wharton
Courtois,
was amazing in the second half.
I don't think Gehi. Obviously, that'd be a big loss, but they've got other good centre halves in there.
I just
and
worry slightly that does someone get Glasner mid-season?
I think that will happen. Dean Henderson as well is a slept-on, unbelievably good goalkeeper.
Mate, he's
So-
improved so much in the last couple of years.
So-
or last year, really, to be honest.
And Mateta, if they hold on to him as well. Ismail Sarr. I think Sarr's very good.
Sarr's going again. He's another player that's kind of
Nunes was
only
arguably one of the best fullbacks in the league last year.
For me, there is enough talent and a system in the bank there that can hold Palace in good stead.
I
And
agree.
I just also do not write off their ability to just sign someone who
Very
like,
true.
out of the championship.
Yeah, I mean they got
They-
Eze, didn't they, from QPR?
Sorry, yeah. Well, they were linked with. There was rumours the other day that they were linked with El Canouse as which I actually called on here, to be fair. El Canouse as a replacement for Eze, and I think obviously. Again, I'm trying to take my Spurs desire out of this for Spurs to get that deal done with Eze, but I do think that's a great bit of business if they can squeeze as much money out as possible for Eze. Bear in mind, I don't think they want to leave themselves in the position continually that they maybe are in with Mark Gehi, where they want to be able to. I think Steve Parish has always kind of come out and said we're never a club that's going to stand in the way of players wanting to leave, and if they do have desires to do that, they want to get as much money for them as possible. They weren't able to do that with Elise because of his release clause, etc. But that's objectively good business. I think if they get 60 odd million for Eze and then are able to replace him with El Canouse, who I think profile-wise is sort of similar, offers them similar qualities, can play really well. I think in that system is ready for the step up from Championship to Premier League football. And then, my gut feeling is that Gehi does actually stay. Because Liverpool have signed Leone, haven't they?
And was it Ornstein that said it? Yes. Someone said recently that Gehi is more like it's getting closer to him just staying.
I think the narrative in the media kind of shifted after the Community Shield final on Sunday, where Parish came out and said, didn't he? He was like, we want to be selling, but we don't want to
let the contract run out.
Exactly. So it's like, I think that's maybe where the rumour mill started to pick up even more. And also,
3-year deal, little pay rise, guaranteed release clause next summer.
win us the Conference League.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bournemouth wise, 11th for me and Ben. I know they lost Dean Hoyson and they lost Kirkes, two fantastic players. But we've spoken before about the left back they brought in, Trafford. great addition. Fantastic addition. They also brought in a young Argentinian Sola, I think it was called, in the January. Also, like, capable there, but Trevor was unbelievable last year. They haven't really lost anyone from the attack, and the attack was fantastic last season. Semenyo was so crucial to how they were playing. Cliver had a brilliant second half of the season. No one ended up getting him. Dango Watara, there's rumours he might end up moving, but he was a bit more like a bench and
Brentford
utility player. Evan Nilsson seems like he's still like they managed to keep a lot of the core, like the attacking wise of the players. Obviously, defensively wise, Zabani leaving is not fun. Dean Hoyson leaving is not fun. That is the two starting centre backs for Hart, and to be fair, Kepa as well gone. So I think that might maybe see them struggle a little bit defensively, but you also back Bournemouth's like recruitment to do pretty well. They've got an amazing manager there too. Petrovic was one of the best goalkeepers in France last season. He's going to be really interesting to see how he develops there. I can see them again, maybe even jumping up to the top half of the table if they continue in the same form and vein they were last year. But I do think it's going to be it takes a little bit of time for them to do that, and that's what's happened at times before when Bournemouth had these changes. 12th.
Well, the thing is, I've got Fulham in 12th, okay, and I know that is with my Fulham hat on, and I've got Bournemouth in 13th. I'm willing, by all means, criticise me in the comments. I originally had Fulham a lot higher.
You did in the early one.
To a degree,
You've done
I
no
do
business.
stand by that. Like, as much as we haven't bought anyone, we haven't sold anyone either.
Continuity is underrated.
Continuity, yeah.
I think Colin said the exact same thing.
Honestly, what did he say?
That exact same phrasing of how
Yeah. Honestly, we're going to do all of our Christmas shopping on Boxing Day this year. That's like Fulham. For some reason, we're waiting till the bitter ends to announce some deals. Honestly, it is baffling. But I still don't think you can overlook how good some of the football we played last year was. And
there's a good core squad there as well.
I will say, if we sell Muniz to Atalanta, because apparently he wants it, we're in deep trouble. But it's so, being a Fulham fan watching this window has been quite a surreal experience because I'm like
at the window.
I
remember you got frustrated.
Sunderland are buying some.
That's what I mean. You got quite frustrated when Sunderland got like Granit Xhaka
yeah.
and Ndingra, and you were like, "Why can't we be involved?" in this stuff?
They just got like Masuaku on a free. I'm like, why aren't we like getting someone on a free?
Yeah,
I want someone on a
free.
He got 8 assists in the Super League last year for that. Anyway, so listen, Everton, Fulham. Interestingly, I put Palace in, where have I put them? At 11th. I do think that though, Fulham, Everton, Bournemouth, any of those guys could finish higher. They could be the rogue kind of overachievers who knock someone down here. I'm saying it's very flexible within here, but also I think these are like the runners and riders who could, for some reason, just finish 6th.
I've got me and Ben. I've just seen there have both got Nottingham Forest in 12th. You really think you think Forest could have it down really bad?
I have them in.
You've got to flip the page over.
I have them in 16th. 16th.
Wow.
Honestly, sod him. Don't care.
Yeah, no, I wanted.
Zach looks a fool.
I really wanted
You know what,
to
man?
put.
That's going to come back and bite. You know, when we look back at it in whatever, I can bite you.
Do you know what though? You've got to go bold. I really wanted to be really punchy with Forest like that and go, you know what, Sodom, just put them right down there because you know what, they've become.
You don't like it for Gibbs White and the owner.
Also for Crystal Palace.
I did that for Palace, who I fell in love with when I was
on the right side of history on this one.
When I was with the Palace fans afterwards, singing that like. Glad all over. I was like, these guys are great. Like, they were going off the whole game. Like, they were fully. Sorry, real
Give the context of how you got in the game, by the way.
And unbelievable. I was just voxing outside the stadium, doing what I do, and then a fan called Sam came up to me with his dad, and he was like, "I really love the stuff. I really love everything that you do." And that was really kind because, you know, it's not always easy in the content world. And I'm not saying that we have like a boohoo job, but it is, you know, it's really nice to realise people
it's
are
fun.
watching.
I always think sometimes it's fun when you meet people as well because sometimes it's numbers. And then you meet them and you're like, oh, God. All right, people watching this. Yeah.
And he said, I've got 2 tickets for the game. I don't have to pay for them. Just please, when you're ready, come in with your colleague and watch the game. And it was just so nice.
That's amazing.
Henry gets free tickets.
Like, I looked at that group of Palace ultras, let's say, whatever, behind the ground,
The
who were like,
Holmesdale
Yeah.
fanatics.
and I was thinking, like, surely every club should look at this and go, that is what you want.
Yeah,
because
100%.
That is the lifeblood of these clubs, and like, that's what I think Palace are brilliant at. So,
Yeah, I love
sorry,
Palace.
that's a complete side track. I don't even remember what I was saying really anymore.
Forest. We were off from Forest.
Yeah,
We were talking about
Forest. Yeah, look, I've got them in 16th, but we'll get to that. Again, remember, guys, none of this matters because,
Try not to get too offended.
it could start,
Who's
and like,
realised?
Haaland could get injured in the first game. Arsenal could, I don't know, just start playing Havertz, and next thing you know, everything's just different. So please do not like down these. So I've got Bournemouth in 13th, and then actually I've got I've got West Ham in 14th, and then I've got Wolves in 15th,
Okay.
and then Forest in 16th. That was my ordering.
Okay, let's go down to 16th then really quickly, just so we can get a little bit of... So you guys at home are understanding where everybody is. I have 12th Nottingham Forest, 13th Fulham, 14th Crystal Palace, West Ham in 15th, and 16th is Wolves.
Okay, I've got Forest in 12th, Palace in 13th, 14th I've got Fulham, 15th I've got West Ham, 16th I've got Brentford.
Okay, very interesting. Essentially, I think Forest will do a little bit better than Henry's saying. We've got to remember they have managed to keep Gibbs White.
Shocking pre-season.
Yeah,
Shocking pre-season.
But not conceding too often either. So effectively, weirdly enough, that's how Forest are. They just don't concede.
Yeah.
So
Scoring though, are they?
the other side of it, though, with Forest is they are obviously now going to be playing Europa League football. That's more minutes in the tank. Their squad depth is a little bit shaky. It's not fantastic.
They have rectified that Forest quite a bit. They've brought quite a few players.
I like Ndoye. I think
But
that's
there's
really
a lot,
good
but they've
signing.
got to have a lot of these players like they've got to be like going from the off essentially.
Yeah.
And quite quickly, to be honest. And like defensive, the one thing they've managed to do really well is keep the defense in compact. Like they didn't sell Milenkovic, they didn't sell Sells, they didn't sell Murillo. Ola Ryan has signed the new deal. Nico Williams, who's the other fullback they brought in? That escapes me. Who could be challenging Nico Williams up the left side?
Alex Moreno?
Maybe. Oh,
No,
whatever.
he's back at Villa now.
Whatever it was. Anyway,
I know they got a new striker as well from
The Brazilian,
Botafogo,
yeah,
but
the
there
Brazilian.
is like, as much as like Brazil is very much in vogue right now, there's no guarantees
100%.
about that Brazilian
But-
strikers.
Especially with
what they were
especially
great
being a
at.
striker, so like,
What they were great at was being like absorbing in the defense and getting on the counter, and that's kind of what they've managed to keep. Like, okay, they've lost Alanga, one of the best players for it, but they have managed to keep Callum Hudson-Odoi. They've still got Gibbs White. Like, I do think they're going to be absolutely fine. That's why, like for me, I've got them in 12th.
yeah.
I think we spoke enough about Palace and Fulham in those, and we've both got them in the rough areas. West Ham 15th, both of us.
Yeah.
What do you think of West Ham?
I just see them I don't see it being a very inspiring season for West Ham at all, to be honest. Was that where they finished? Oh no, they finished 16th last year, didn't they? So,
I think
I've got
personally,
him 14th.
yeah,
14th.
I think
Okay.
round there. I think that anywhere between what is the highest you think West Ham can finish?
yeah, I don't.
I
I
think
think
it's
it's 13th.
13th, like.
Yeah.
I agree. I understandably, yeah, it's not been great. And like Callum Wilson on a free,
The
Carl
additions
Walker
aren't
on a
the
free.
main ones,
They've had to. They've actually. They
No,
spent
Carl Walker
40
Peters is actually a good signing. That is good. Carl Walker Peters is a good signing.
Yeah, fine. It is. Yeah, I agree. Potter did make them harder to beat, and with a full preseason, I think. Originally, I was saying I think they'll be in the relegation zone, but I've sort of slept on it a little bit, and I think there's still enough quality there with Bowen and
Bowen's a big
Paqueta.
thing. Yeah.
You know,
But-
I think there's still enough there to sort of drive them on. This is a team that not that long ago was winning like in Europe
yeah.
very consistently.
Any team that has Paqueta and Bowen in their squad is going to manage okay.
Maybe Somerville has a year as well where he
That's
actually
a big
establishes
hope,
himself.
I think, for them. Yeah, definitely. Like Somerville was fantastic in the Championship and really shoot. Hopefully, they've got a manager who should like feasibly take them to the next level, but just does. I don't know. It wasn't the best time.
Worried about the
of
goals
second
as
half
well.
of the
Like
season with him.
Fulkrug, I'm not.
I think Fulkrug's
I
gonna.
like
I think
Fulkrug,
Fulkrug's gonna have a much better season. I think he's gonna have a much better season.
Yeah.
He's got to stay fit, isn't
Towards
he?
the end
Ultimately, got to
of
stay fit.
last season, West Ham fans were beginning to be like, yeah, you know what, he's all right. And
Yeah, but do you not
West
think
Ham
that's
fans
because he was
love
like
him.
more of a talisman for like some of the things that he said and how like his effort and that it wasn't massively down to like
Well,
scoring it.
all right,
No,
fine.
I think they really like him. I've got no doubt about that. But I'm not. He's not going to score you 15 goals.
He's got to be fit. He's got to be fit, hasn't he? Okay, because I think to be honest, like 15 to 12th it could kind of go either way.
so Wolves, do you not fancy Wolves?
I've
We're
got
getting
Wolves
into the
going.
relegation zone now here. We're getting into 16th, 17th,
Down,
18th. 16th, 17th, 18th. Henry, who is yours?
So I had Forest 16th.
Brilliant. We'll see what happens.
I have Sunderland.
They were nearly in the Champions League
I
last
have
season.
Sunderland in 17th.
And 18th.
Brentford.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've got-
maybe I'm being stupid Forest. But just with Wolves, I don't mind Vitor Pereira. I think they're
They've
all
got
right.
a good midfield.
I
Wolves.
think they've got a good
have.
midfield. And I like the guy they got from Celta Vigo. I think
Yeah,
they're looking at Disasi and
Not bad.
and
the other Chelsea.
David Datro Fofana
Yeah, they are.
as well. But yeah, it's and
Strad Larson
I
is
think is a great
fantastic.
striker.
Like
Yeah.
Wolves have Wolves. I can like a couple of Wolves fans that I've spoken to who are a little bit concerned. I think in the transfer market, especially when they've lost two of the best players that they have in Cunha and Ait Nouri. But if you do talk to Wolves fans about when they didn't have Cunha, they said they felt they played better as a team without him. And so Strad Larson, like when you're in that zone of like relegation bound, having a striker who can put double figures in the Premier League is unbelievable. Vitor Pereira did a really good job with them last year. I actually see them quite comfortably finishing above the relegation zone. Like, I've got them in 16th, West Ham 15th, and Sunderland 17th.
Yes.
We'll get onto the relegation zone. We'll get onto it now. You've got Brentford in 16th.
Yep.
Sunderland in 17th.
And Wolves in 18th. I like Wolves. I like the
Why Wolves over Brentford? That's the big thing. We'll get into Sunderland in a bit. Why Wolves relegated but Brentford not?
I still think Brentford's defence is quite strong. It's kept Nathan Collins. Damsgaard is still a massive player for them. Maybe they can see a bit of improvement in Kevin Schade. They've got Igor Thiago, who we haven't seen loads of and need to see more of. Obviously, as well, losing Mbuemo and Vissa, which was over 50% of their goal contributions, is obviously massive. Like Brentford could easily, this could be the year that. Well, I say this could be the year. Like they weren't flirting with relegation last year, but like this could be the year where they do go down. But then again, like there's something about maybe it's because I really want to believe in Keith Andrews. I think there's something there. I think bringing in Jordan Henderson, I think is really really smart for that experience. Effectively replacing Norgard with a player that's got a tremendous amount of experience in this league. Is a great leader with the young players they've got in midfield and around him as well. I do worry about the firepower, but I still think they'll be hard. I think they'll be hard to beat. I do think they will be hard to beat. And I feel like Keith Andrews, if he gets off to a decent start first win, could galvanise them a little bit. Obviously, this Wissa situation isn't helping because I think it's preventing them from spending the money to go and replace Mbuemo and Wissa. They haven't really made moves to do that yet. Obviously, they were linked with Amari Hutchinson. There was a couple of other guys as well.
I don't get this Amari Hutchinson. Like,
I'm not sure he's the...
is he a 35, 40 million pound player?
No, but then is anyone a...
But he
Like,
is.
it's the market's still a bit-
They know Brentford got money, and to Ipswich they spent 20 odd million to get him.
Yeah.
Like, they want to make a good
Yeah,
profit.
really
on
do.
Yeah,
him.
they're playing hardball on him because... But I don't know, I think... I feel... Maybe honestly, maybe it's just because of that, like, I want it to work with Brentford. They've obviously been so clearly written off. Everyone's got them in the relegation zone. It never tends to work out that way. Like, it never tends to... And maybe it's staring us right in the face, and maybe it will just happen because they've lost those two players. Maybe the obvious pick is the correct one. But I just feel like I see them staying up by the skin of their teeth. I honestly do. I've got Sunderland in 17th. Sunderland, I think, will... Again, I think it's... I said this before, like, maybe we are slipping into the Ipswich trap a little bit where they spent a bit of money, and I think because Ipswich had been out of the league for so long, gone down to League One, you know, proper football club, we all want them to kind of come back up and do well. It was a good story. Same with Sunderland. They've been through a lot of crap over the last few years, and I think maybe that's... Again, I think that is coming into people's thinking when they're predicting Sunderland stuff, myself included in that. But I think Xhaka coming in is huge, making him captain, massive. They're still looking to proactively do business. Like I said, even if Sunderland go down, I think they've done the right thing in terms of the recruitment, bringing these younger players that can still get good resale value for. I like what they've done. I feel like it's a good... If they get off to it, they've got a decent start in terms of the games as well.
Yeah.
Like West Ham at home, I think.
That's a massive first game for them.
Yeah.
West Ham at home.
They
that
win
could
that.
really
They're
set a
off.
statement.
They're off. They're flying.
It's the difference about Ipswich is Ipswich sort of assembled a championship super squad when they came up this year. You look at some of the signings that Sunderland are making. There's a Xhaka, even like Masuaku, I joke about him. Like he's been playing in a pressure cooker at Besiktas for a few years. Like he knows what to expect.
As well. Like, I know
This fella that they brought in from Getafe is a no-nonsense cruncher. Like I think their little £10 million signings are going to be a crucial, and a Dingra as well. I think that could be a real difference maker. Even Mark Guiu, I think that is a really, really smart loan.
Has that happened?
Or he's on loan there, but there's
right.
there's like secret rumours that he might be injured.
Secret rumours.
Because he's not well, in both. He's been there for 2 pre-season games. He's not been on the bench. Like, but they've not publicly announced that he's singing. I have also got Sunderland in 17th. I put Brentford in the relegation zone mainly for the fact that I just don't think they're going to make it this year. I think their biggest loss is Thomas Frank.
Yeah,
we mentioned it earlier. Like he is so crucial to that side. I'm not overly enamoured with the new manager. I think the fact they've not managed to bring in any replacements. One of the best things that Brentford was so good at was when they lost the star player, they would get the replacement in pretty quickly or already kind of have him there. Yeah. And they don't, unless they think Fabio Carvalho can do that.
Maybe.
But maybe, can he really replace the output then?
I'm back in the bees.
The striker they bought in from Club
I got
Brugge.
Thiago last season, but he's not amazing.
Well, he hasn't. He's got
a point to prove. So Ben could be spot on here, and we could all be completely wrong because Kelleher and Henderson is still.
But I would feel personally, I feel better backing Wolves than I do Brentford.
Yeah, me too.
That's ultimately what
I also think there's an element of Wolves. I was kind of trying to get there with Brentford, but you flirt and you flirt and you flirt, and eventually you do slip through the trap door. And I really like Vitor Pereira. I think all of the stuff that you said about him doing an amazing job while Cunha was out is so valid. And I was a massive backer of them last season, especially what he did without Cunha. Cunha got sent off in that game against Bournemouth, and then that in the FA Cup game, which meant he was suspended for 4 or 5 games off the back of that, right? That was crunch time for Wolves. They were only 5 points, I think, above the relegation zone. They had this, it was all amounting up to this 6-pointer against Ipswich, and it was if Wolves lose a couple of games because they haven't got Cunha, Ipswich win a couple, the momentum massively shifts, and then if Ipswich go and beat them, Wolves won 3 out of 4, got a draw, then went and beat Ipswich away, and that was all down to how Pereira galvanised that group of players without Cunha and how he set them up, and there was other players that stood up. That is a very valid argument to suggest that they can cope without him and they can stay up. I do think then translating that over the course of a 38-game season is going to be a lot harder to do that without Cunha. I think obviously they've got I love João Gomez. Andre's great. I like Strand Larsen. There's good quality there. I like Agbadu as well at centre-half. I like Manetti. I like how he works.
You like a lot of the team, mate. You like a lot of the team.
Don't like Jose Sarr.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't.
He had a good second half of the campaign.
I do think without Cunha over the course of the season, who is going to be the talisman that stops them from snipping? I don't want Wolves to go down. I don't want any of these teams to go down. Yeah. I'll take it.
But someone has to.
Someone has to. I just think it could be the year. I just think it could be. Maybe that's just my gut feeling, and I could be wrong on that. Again, same gut feeling. I think Brentford are going to surprise people.
I think all of these could. Again, we've mentioned it a few times, but it could be either way.
Also, it could just be Sunderland.
It could easily be Sunderland.
Could just be we're all just trying to
overthinking it. Henry, we might as well touch upon them very quickly. I'll give you the words on them. Leeds and Burnley. Yeah. We've both got them in 19th or 20th. I've got them in.
We've all got this. I've got Burnley 19th, Leeds 20th. So we've all got. Exactly
I've actually got Burnley in 20th and Leeds, but still, they're there.
Well, the thing about
for
Burnley,
both of them, how are you feeling?
So. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the promoted sides, for some reason, stayed up. It's that kind of.
I'd be surprised Burnley. Generally, I'd be very surprised.
Well, yeah. The thing about Burnley is they've lost so many of their defensive stars.
I think you can do the in-betweeners.
Burnley.
Not Burnley. Burnley can fuck off.
Well, I didn't realise just how much James Trafford contributed to that. His post-shot XG last season was 11.8 plus. That good. Esteve is basically the last remaining player in that defence, who's sort of the all-star defensive system there. Don't get me wrong, again, because I had them staying up when we originally did this. The transfers are not particularly inspiring me at all. Chona, didn't have loads of minutes. Was that Lazio that he's come from? He's a bit of a rough diamond, perhaps. Broja for 20 million. Don't see it.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
Who's signed off on that? I don't mind the
Leslie Gochukwu.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, I like
the
him.
price point they've paid for him. 20 million for a striker. Come on. There's other players out there that you could have gambled on for that. And don't get me
Surely
wrong,
they could have got a decent loan or something.
Again, I really like Broja as a person.
He's had a bad injury record, bless him.
But he's had a really, really bad few years.
Rough few years.
And it's interesting to me that's the line they've gone down. So I don't see the goals, and I think the defence has been shattered too much, and there's just a lack of real star quality running through that side. So that's why I've got a 19th.
Are we sleeping a bit on Leeds?
Yeah, maybe because Ellen Road is big. I do think
they have made some fun they are interesting signings. Okay, they're not Rafinha from when they got him from Ligue 1, but they have made some interesting signings.
Yeah, maybe.
but it could be one. It's one of the. I think it is. This is the difficulty with it, where like it's so hard to predict, and you almost sometimes your predictions almost like I don't want to look back in the end of the year and be like that was stupid.
We played it safe.
Some chump out there will clip up us saying, this and that. Like, fine. Like, go for it.
I've already seen you clipped up saying Leeds going down. I don't know if you've seen that.
Really?
Yeah, a Leeds fan clipped you up.
No.
Being like, you know those ones where it's like it's like a bunch of people going saving it for when they stay up if they stay up.
I'm sure
fine.
Proving us
Fine.
wrong.
You've proven nothing. You just support your team. Like,
well done.
Well done. Like, well done. If you're, I'm not.
Good luck
I said,
to you.
As I've said about 5 times. It is what it is. Like,
it's
you know,
tough. It's not easy. But again, please let us know all your full table predictions down there as well. Have you got Leeds staying up? Have you got Sunderland staying up? Or are all the promoted teams going down? Get them down there and I'll have a quick look and give a comment or two. Let's quickly go through our kind of subheadings. First to be sacked, Daniel Farker still.
Yeah, but I'm still sticking with Nuno as my
Nuno
other
for Nottingham
shout.
Forest. Henry, who are you saying? Daniel
Yeah,
Farker.
it's
Maybe
interesting.
the Brentford lad, but I feel like Brentford
yeah,
will
Keith
probably stick
Andrews.
by him.
Yeah,
I think
fine.
they'll stick by
I'll
him.
stick with
for a while,
Farker.
to be honest.
Is Amarim like a chance there? Like if Man
No,
United
they
don't
can't.
start well and they get to November, and maybe it's not first to be sacked, could be like third.
Yeah.
But there's a chance I think United could think about it. Like they've spent so much money this summer, and if they get to November and they're still getting absolutely rolled over in midfield,
I think they have to back him. I think you can't back him as much last year. I just feel like that would just be starting again and again and again and a new system. Yeah, I don't know. No, not for me.
Fair enough. I mean, overachievers and underachievers. You've kind of seen our table. I guess you can kind of take it from that. Essentially, if we've got Sunderland staying up,
Yeah, it's
they're
just
probably
gotta be
overachievers.
Sunderland.
Yeah, well, I've gone for. I think Spurs finishing 5th would be an overachievement given how bad it was last year, and I've got Everton written down as well.
Yeah,
because-
Everton finishing 10th is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Sunderland. I know it would be an overachievement for them to stay up, but like they have spent an awful lot of money at this point.
Yeah,
so
that has to be. Yeah, they've given themselves the best chance, haven't they? So it's like, would it? But I just think with how difficult it has been to break that cycle of newly promoted teams avoiding the drop, I think it would be a massive overachievement. But yeah, I did think about Spurs because I had them in 5th, going from 17th to 5th. And yeah, Everton I think as well was a shout. Oh yeah, but I've gone for Sunderland.
Let's mention our final one standing predictions guide, because obviously this is coming into this first game week. I've mentioned a few times that I've gone for Manchester City. Manchester City are playing Wolverhampton Wanderers in their first game. Kind of feels like, as we've said before, in the final one standing, you've got to pick the team you think are going to win that game. But once you've picked them, you can't pick them again. In my thinking, I'm just thinking, let's get the first one. I'll be going with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Lads, for you boys, I'll go through the game weeks and you can mention to me which ones are there. Obviously, Manchester City versus Wolves. The first game in Liverpool, because it's on the Friday, doesn't actually count. Have you got the game in front of you? Yep. Cool. We've got obviously Aston Villa versus Newcastle. So I'll just grab your phone. We've got Aston Villa versus Newcastle, Brighton versus Fulham, Sunderland versus West Ham, Tottenham versus Burnley, Wolves versus Man City. You've already heard my thoughts on that. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest versus Brentford, Man United versus Arsenal, and of course Leeds, Everton. What game would you go for, Ben?
I'm kind of tempted. I'm a bit reticent to back Spurs because it's the sort of game that we might struggle a little bit just because, I don't know. I'm actually, you know what? It's bold. And it's game week 1 and I could be out, right? But I'm going Sunderland.
Sunderland for Ben?
I think Sunderland will beat West Ham.
Love it.
The Stadium of Light is going to be raucous on Saturday. First game back in the Prem for what, nearly 10 years?
That is a hell of a pick, considering if you get it wrong, you're out from the first game.
You know, I think like you've got plenty of chance to back. I know Liverpool can't pick, but you've got plenty of chance to back City down the road when you need them to.
Yeah, that's the battle, isn't it? It's like picking the right one. You don't want to use the City too early.
I'm avoiding that. But I'm avoiding your lot. Brighton against Fulham. I'm avoiding that.
To be honest, I can't believe I say this in a Fulham shirt. I think Brighton could be a problem first game of the season away. We always actually do quite well down in Brighton. We never get rolled over, but I just think home crowd for them, something to prove this season. Yeah. I think Brighton could be.
Maybe Villa's a shout.
Villa could be a shout against Newcastle,
but
but
these
it's
games
tough.
I don't want to touch. Maybe Chelsea.
Yeah, I don't want to touch those at all. It's tricky. I was thinking maybe Chelsea.
Chelsea over Palace. I mean,
Palace have actually beat us, or did we beat us last time at the Stamford
Drew,
Bridge?
Eze scored that free kick, didn't he?
You might actually need to come closer to to me, Ben, so you're in this camera now, because that camera is about to turn off.
Okay.
So just put whenever you want to say, pull over to this one. Yes, I think those are all kind of understandable shouts, but I mean, I'm going for the mentality that once you're the first week, let's just get a win. Get City out of the way.
I'm
go
rolling
with
the
that.
dice.
Fair play, I like it. You're being brave.
Yeah. All on
Okay then, guys. Our last two things. Maybe we'll just do the best signing if we're going to worst as well. Best signing of the transfer window.
Florian Wirtz. I don't know if you've heard of him. I kind of had Wirtz and Tijani Reinders, to be honest, because I kind of was like, I think Reinders will be considered almost like the real signing of the season, if you get what I mean. But I think Wirtz is going to have so much of an impact where it's going to be really hard to ignore. But yeah, I've gone Florian Wirtz. I watching him on Sunday was just like, Jesus Christ, this guy's good. So
We're not pushing the belt too far because I've gone João Pedro.
Okay.
João Pedro at Chelsea. He's really made me quite excited for what he's doing so far.
It's a
this
good
summer.
shout.
I've gone for Fulham's signing of the Montpellier keeper. No, you know what? I've got this very much with romantic goggles on. I really want Grealish to go to Everton and light it up. Given minutes, I don't know where exactly he's going to play, but him, Barry, or even Dewsbury Hall, I
actually got Dewsbury Hall down as well.
I think they've all got.
I like that transfer.
Dewsbury Hall and Grealish particularly have really got something to prove. I think Moyes could be the perfect manager for them. New stadium, a bit of positivity at the club. Yeah, I knew you guys would probably pick Wirtz or Reinders. So yeah, I'm going to go for Grealish or Dewsbury Hall on this one.
Do you have a worst signing, Henry? Do you have anyone that you're eager to say? Because I find it really tough. I find the worst signing really tough.
Business, to be honest.
Because I really like Sesko. I really think Sesko is. I really don't like doing this. Broja, I really hope he does well, but I just think for a promoted club to spend 20 million on a star forward who's.
I'd probably go with Broja as well.
Yeah,
actually.
it was Broja or Elanga for me.
Yeah, you're not a massive fan of Elanga.
Just because, again, I'll keep saying it. He's a really good player, and he's kind of, in many ways, perfect for Eddie Howe. But I just think that money could have been used on a player that's slightly more dynamic, slightly more versatile, slightly more creative, to offer them something a little bit different when they're struggling against teams that are sitting in against them.
This is how I'm going to have to do with Ben.
I'm not just saying
Bring
that.
your chair closer if you want. Bring your chair closer. Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I find it really tough. Part of me keeps thinking if they get Donnarumma, Trafford, it's a bit of a weird signing.
I can't see him going to
But
City.
I think, again, it's hard to predict until it's actually done. I've mentioned before, Nouri. I find the defensive side of his game's a bit lackluster.
I don't think it's going to be the worst signing.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm not going to say worse for it.
I genuinely, there's none that actually massively stand out to me as
No, I think it's all pretty
this
good
is
business.
this is the worst. I think
Yeah.
across the board it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, our final one then, Breakout Star. And I've got two. So if you want to take my other one, Henry, you're absolutely fine too. I don't know if it's worth saying Oscar Bob, because it kind of felt like last season was going to be his breakout season, and it didn't end up being it, mainly due to the fact, obviously, the really bad injury, and I felt like he was going to be so good. I have questions over whether he's going to play enough at City. Obviously, the Savinho rumours to Spurs, I think it would be a good transfer, but that would actually maybe mean he does play a little bit more than he might.
Well, also, I think City will replace Savinho as well if he does go.
Yeah,
so then
it's a bit of a worry on that side.
Yeah.
But the one I'm going to definitely go for, Willian Esteval. Esteval, I think it's pronounced, actually.
Is he honestly going to get the minutes? When and where is he going to play?
On the right? I've got Esteval as well. I had Esteval, and I also had, again, he's not a kid. He's not necessarily a breakout. He's been playing in the Premier League for a few years. I've gone Pat Matasar as well. I think he's going to have a season where everyone realises that he is one of the best young all-action midfielders in the league. I think if he can stay fit, I said this about Porro as well last week. I think he's going to play more minutes than most players, just because of what he offers you in so many different game states as well. You saw last night, he was phenomenal against PSG. So good. And again, we've been seeing it for years at Spurs. There's been a little bit of inconsistency at times, as expected as a young player. But I feel like it's probably going to be the season that our opinions on him are validated as much as anything.
I do like Sar.
I think he's fantastic. So I think I'm going to go. It is Esteval because he's new to the league and all that kind of stuff. But a player to keep an eye on, I think, is Pat Matasar.
Esteval's really fun, man. Like, watching him at the moment, seeing him at the Bridge already in the pre-season stuff, like, he is so fun. There is such a cool element towards him. Like, and also, we don't ever really get these guys in the Premier League. No. Like, they normally go to Spain.
Yeah.
Like, they normally always, like, that's what they grow up. They love Barcelona, love Real Madrid. Like, we've seen it with Rodrigo, we've seen it with Vinny, we've seen it with Endrick. I'm sure there's others that I'm just like, even who's the striker that went to Barcelona when he was like highly touted from Brazil?
Oh, yeah.
He went back to Brazil.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway.
El Tigre or whatever he's called. Yeah.
Anyway,
I've got two names for you. I think we might see a lot more of Harry Amas at Man United, the left back there. I think that I'm excited to see him. And Fulham's Josh King, 18-year-old midfielder. I think he's going to see a lot more action this season. Probably the most exciting player to come out of our academy since Harvey Elliott. And I think, given the lack of business, Tom Kearney playing more of like a cheerleading role this year, I think Josh King could really surprise some people.
I wonder if we end up seeing anything of Max Damon.
He's 15. Isn't he?
I know, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, or with like the Liverpool young lads.
They signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's class. Yeah.
But like, if we see like Matt Damon in preseason has looked ridiculous for 15. It's actually insane.
It's true.
I think with Engamata,
can you legally play a 15-year-old in the Prem?
One has.
I'm pretty sure Waneri was 15.
Okay. Mental.
I think with Ngamoa, I think at Liverpool it could be one of those ones where he plays like quite a lot of cup minutes, maybe some Champions League cameos and all that kind of stuff, because Slot seems to really like him. So I think Ngamoa, he was in the back of my mind as well, and I think it might be one of those ones where obviously he's so young, but he might get a loan in January or something, and then he goes somewhere and then really catches fire, and then next season it's like you can't ignore him.
He was, very excited about it, Chelsea. That's the reason why Liverpool scouts aren't allowed to come to Chelsea's academy anymore. Because it's at Rio. Well, guys, there we have it. Henry, you do have your own camera. You don't have to encourage. Okay, there we have it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this prediction. I'm sure we'll go back over the season. We'll do a midway one and, of course, an end of season one. And go through this. This is mental. Go make sure you check out the description below for the final one standing. Henry, if a lot of people want to check you out, where can they go? You can speak in a Ben's mic.
I know already that my head's just totally covered by the click next bit. So, don't worry. Just follow me on TikTok. Yeah, why not?
There you go. I'll link it down below. Ben Bowman, where can the people find you?
Just follow me on TikTok as well. I don't think my head is covered by the thing, but you follow me over there on YouTube as well.
This has been a fun episode. This has been actually really good fun. Let us know, as I said, down below, all your predictions down there of what we have mentioned. If you've enjoyed, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.